classic novel Moby Dick begins with the words, "Call me Ishmael," and ends with Ishmael being rescued from the sea by a ship looking for survivors of a shipwreck. And in the middle, we read an iconic adventure story at sea, centered on a man, Captain Ahab, obsessed with finding a particular whale and exacting his revenge on it. The tragedy of this tale has given us the metaphor of the white whale, the center of someone's obsession that ultimately leads to their downfall. Now, this story is an example, an extreme one to be sure, of things that we think will bring us satisfaction or fulfillment, but will ultimately leave us emptier than we were before. Have you ever had the experience of investing all kinds of time, money, effort, emotion into something that lets you down? You wait in line for 2.5 hours for a 90-second ride at an amusement park, and you think as you get off, is that all? For the next 6 sessions, we're going to dig into the idea of things in our lives that promise some sort of fulfillment or satisfaction. But when we follow them to their conclusion, we're left with emptiness and despair. Yeah, that sounds depressing. And at times we'll talk about things that are difficult, but don't worry, we'll finish each session with a focus on the alternative that Christ offers, the well of living water that never leaves us dry. Now pause the video, answer this question. What do you have in your life right now that gives your life meaning, purpose, or fulfillment? Now I'd like to call these human pursuits that ultimately leave us wanting more, wells of human experience. The book of Ecclesiastes uses the phrase, "under the sun," to give us some insight into these wells. Under the sun, these experiences and these pursuits, they have no meaning. They're like vapor and they will leave us empty. These wells of human experience look like they'll give us just the thing we're looking for, but from an under the sun perspective, they're not even capable of fulfilling the promises that they make. Now, as we work through the book of Ecclesiastes together, here are some broad categories of wells of human experience that have been tried and found incapable of the fulfillment that they promise. The first one is the well of academic achievement. If I can only get the right grades, I can go to the right school and get the right job, and then I will be satisfied with my life. The second one, the well of hedonism and pleasure. If I can only have the best experiences of food, sex, and all things pleasurable, I will find the comfort and escape that I need to be satisfied with my life. The third one is the well of social or political activism. If I can only work to do away with the oppression of others and help people better their position in life, I will find meaning and be satisfied with my life. The fourth one, the well of work or financial security. If I can only get the right job to make the right money to take care of my family and make sure that we don't want for anything, I will be satisfied with my life. Now, I want to be clear. There's nothing wrong with academics, pleasure, social activism, or financial security on their own. What we will explore through this study is how, under the sun, these things are incapable of providing the security and satisfaction they promise. Now let's think about what Solomon has to say in the book of Ecclesiastes. Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Well, that's depressing. The Hebrew word he used in this phrase is hevel, which is more literally vapor or smoke. It looks like it has substance and can be held onto, but once you get your hands on it, it's gone and you're empty-handed. Solomon, the richest and most powerful of all the kings of Israel, and someone the Bible describes as having greater wisdom than anyone who had ever lived, looks around and recognizes that if the material world is all that exists, then nothing really matters. Friedrich Nietzsche's nihilism actually makes sense. There's no meaning or purpose in life, so we might as well give up trying and get right to experiencing all that we can selfishly experience. Eat, drink, be merry, for tomorrow we die. Before you move on to the next part of the video, answer this question. What are some of the wells that other teenagers you know are trying to find satisfaction in? I'm gonna give you the end of the story before we really even start. There is more to this life than the material world. And it is possible to bypass all the hurt and heartache that comes from running to empty wells and get right to living life with purpose and meaning. Like you might have heard in Shawshank Redemption, get busy living or get busy dying. There's a beautiful story in the Gospel of John, chapter 4, where Jesus intentionally seeks out a conversation with a Samaritan woman at the town well. He sorts through some of her misconceptions about the Messiah and how he would enable his people to have forgiveness and a restored relationship with God. Then he points to the well they were standing next to and says, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give him will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." The water the woman was drawing from the well would eventually run out, but the water of eternal life would bring meaning and purpose and satisfaction to her life. For thousands of years, people have been living in this life a life of peace and fulfillment, while others around them have run themselves into the ground chasing things that do not have the power to fulfill. It's my hope that through this study, you will turn from the empty wells and receive the living water that wells up to eternal life. We'll see you next time.